Hi guys, welcome back to the Last Set Podcast, first episode for 2023. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for all your support over 2022. I'm going to make sure that 2023 was probably the best year for podcasting. And in terms of speaking best, we've got one of the best guests we've ever had back on to kick off the year. Vince, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm glad we finally got to do this. You've been on the podcast a couple of times,
yes.
And with obviously the first one was with your girlfriend, now fiance, Keisha. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And of course, one with Mark.
Yes.
Now it's time for the solo run.
Finally.
Yeah.
Told you.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I'm good.
It's been a while since I last saw you, so.
Couple months, right? Was it?
No, it was longer than that, actually. I think it was.
With Mark. When was the episode with Mark?
I don't know, but I remember the last time I saw you was when I came to visit you at work, but it was good 4 or 5 months ago, so.
Oh, yeah, when we did a session.
Yeah.
It's okay. You'll be seeing me more.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, so first off, I just want to say a big congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And
yep.
You finally did it, you know, finally put the ring on it, you know.
5 years.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. For those of you who don't know that, Vince actually used to be my boss. And before he departed, and now he's comfortably working hard at New Movement, is doing fantastic. One of the last things we did was when we had one of our last meetings, you were saying, yeah, I'm saving up because, you know, I'm getting ready for pointing towards the ring finger. And I was like, oh, it's finally happening. And then I think it was literally almost a year.
Yep.
A year since you said that as well. Yep. And now.
Those things aren't cheap. Gotta save for those.
No, they are, but they're worth it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because how long? Because you said you and Keisha have been together for 5 years.
5 years, yep.
And then you met when you first came here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, yeah.
Yep, a little over 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And you got a kid together as well?
We do. He's so hairy. Doesn't have mine or his mom's hair, but yeah.
How old is Kenzo now?
He'll be 2 in February.
Fuck, he's getting so big.
It's a dog, just so people know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So, now that you're back, now that things are rolling, we can dive a little bit more deeper into things. Now, recently, the first thing I wanted to ask you, brother, is you've had an exceptional year in 2022. Started off a bit rocky for you, and then we don't need to dive too deep into that, but where you've got to where you are right now is a lot better of a place. Without, you know, naming names or talking about anything, do you feel like what you had to go through was kind of worth it now to get to where you are today?
Yes, I do. I think anytime people go through anything, you probably know that too. I mean, regardless what it is, you know, it makes you better and realize and learn and all that stuff. So, oh yeah, I think it was necessary. I wish it didn't kind of have the length of time that it did. You know what I mean? And would have been nice to have different outcomes, but I think once again everything happens for a reason, and you know, I learned from it for sure. Definitely better from it, and yeah, this last year, like you said, has been a real good one. So,
yeah,
100%, man. You know, it's good when things happen, adversity, all that type of stuff. But you know, you can just try and not let it happen again. Like now, in a sense, you use it as my fiance's gone for a few weeks without me. I could stress, I could be all frustrated, all that, but you know, you just learn there's no need to, especially when you had past things that was worse in a sense, you know, more stressed, caused medical issues, things like that. So, yeah.
Because didn't last year you have some sort of issue with was it with the stomach again? Yeah. And then tell them a little bit about that because...
Yeah, I mean, okay, so everyone handles stress differently, right? And stress can affect people. When I was in college in America, I hurt my left foot, 2 of my toes, right? It doesn't sound that bad, but I had to have surgery, everything.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What was the surgery on your toes?
Yeah, I just blew out both 2 of my toes.
Wow.
Yeah, from just practicing, not even like a game, so... Yeah, it's not that tough. But first time I ever missed playing football, right? And I played, at that point, over 10 years consistently.
Wow.
So that stress and frustration of not being able to play and stuff, it got me sick, and then I had a bacteria, which normally is the starting point to cause ulcers from stress. So I fixed that before. So then back to recently, just this past year, there was that phase where, stress can affect the stomach and the lining of the stomach, and then people are affected differently with reflux. And I had an issue where there was reflux, and then it tore the lining of my stomach. So then I had to, take medicine to help coat that and let it heal. Had like the scope down the throat to make sure there was no ulcers. So yeah, man, I mean, things happen when you let stress and other things get to you too much. And, not just for myself, but my relationships and all that, it made it stronger. So yeah.
Mm. So another big thing I also want to bring up is recently you've been posting about that you're now getting back into competing in physique competition.
Yes.
Was this something that you made a decision on last year, that you believed, it was time to step back on stage now that you felt like you were in a little bit more of a comfortable place to be competing? Or was this something else that sort of motivated you to get back on stage?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, we spoke a bit of times about that, in person, and when we've had some not PT, but training sessions together. I mean, this last year, especially moving from what I was doing to trying to now do what you pretty much do and you've been doing, like running that coaching business from a gym, I felt like this last year I needed to build up my clientele, coming from being just a manager to now being solely a coach, talk to more people, all the things you do when you start out as a coach, you know that. So it was kind of doing all those things, being there a lot of time in the day, standing at front, talking to all new people I haven't talked to. So I felt like I needed this last year to build up my business, get to a consistent, stable point with that. And as you know, I was saving for a ring. So, and on top of that, I had the plans of my family coming to visit, who I hadn't seen in almost 4 years, and a few other things on top of that, where I just felt like now, like I'm at a good point with my business and it's getting better now, especially with the new year and busier. So I have to still focus on that, but with that being good and nothing much happening now, but kind of same thing every day, I felt I was in a good spot to give enough effort to compete. Because I feel like if you're going to compete, you may as well be able to give your all. Because if you're not going to be able to do your best, then what's the point, type of thing. So, yeah.
That sort of leads to the next question. For people that are kind of listening that want to get into competing, do you believe there should be a certain set of parameters they should have in place before they have the first, take that first step?
Yeah, I just think you have to understand what it takes, you know what I mean? And know if you can do that. Like if you're a FIFO worker, right? FIFO people have different jobs. Some are more laborious than others, you know what I mean? Some have different swings, it's all different. So some FIFO people could handle maybe competing while others can't. Some people may have kids and a family and it's just too much to juggle, where people who are, single or only have a boyfriend, girlfriend and no kids, or like a dog only, like myself, like it's a bit easier. So I think you have to be able to know the time you have to give, and if your life allows it, then you then have to know the effort and sacrifices, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, someone else can look better than you, but if you don't come at your best, then there's no point in trying anyways, right? Because maybe your best can beat someone, but if you're not your best, then there's probably a good chance you're not going to have a good outcome. So, because, I think it reveals a lot of people's true character.
True.
So, you know what I mean? And some people do it once and then they realize, it's not for me. I did it. It was fun. Well, I want to eat. You know what I mean?
Well, I always respect that you kind of, People who actually just do the thing rather than actually, you know, judge from an outside perspective have a little bit more credibility, I would dare say. Like, I've always been critical of bodybuilding, and I've always been respectful of it, and I've always been told, well, you've never done it before, so you shouldn't really be talking. I'm like, well...
No, you could have views. Look, I mean, like I said, there's people who do it, male and female, you know. People might say more females, but males too, who they only do it to get a certain body image. Like, oh, I want to be lean and look like that, or I want abs, so I'm going to do a competition to get it. And then when they're not competing and they realize it's not sustainable, you know what I mean? Then it really messes with them, and then they get unmotivated and they're back and forth with what they want to do, and they think, oh, it's, you know, it wasn't the fact that they did it for the wrong reasons. They're just coming up with any excuse to be the reason why they're not still where they were. But in reality, you can't sustain that. And that's, like we said before, I think on social media, you see all these people that are year-round, buff, ripped, lean, shredded, but whether it's the same pictures they took one day for the whole year they use, or, I mean, they're on enhancements, you know what I mean? And power to them. But once again, that's the thing. If you're going to be a professional and want to do it, then you're going to have to do those things. And there's no judging. That's fine. But you still have to work hard and eat, and you have to do those things. So to do it for the right reasons and not, oh, I want to look a certain way, so I'm going to compete. Like, no. For me, I played football, American football, like we all know, for 20 years. Don't play anymore. I'm competitive. What do I want to do? You know what I mean? Don't want to go running or do any of these swimming in the ocean thing, all these events that people do, you know what I mean? Triathlons. So I'd rather, you know, work on building a body, which, you know, it's not an easy thing to do from a natural standpoint either. And you get to learn about yourself more. And yeah, I'm not as athletic as I used to be, but that doesn't mean after I compete, I can't start training towards that. You know what I mean? Because although I enjoy, this is going to be like my 5th time doing a bodybuilding show. I enjoy it. It's fun because it's competitive more so with yourself. You know what I mean? It's, yeah, it makes you learn a lot about yourself. And I think every time I compete, I get better at something, or both mentally, physically. And the main thing is the physical thing for me is last time I competed, do I look different? Do I look bigger and better on the things I needed to improve on? And if so, then I already won, even though I might not get first place.
That's fine.
So, yeah.
I hear a lot that, I think it was someone said to me, I think it was the beginning of last year, and it's like kind of stuck, and I've said it quite a few times on the podcast, but really happiness comes from growth. And I feel like people find a lot of fulfillment from compare. It's not about, I think they say, oh, it's not really yesterday, because the person who you actually were yesterday, there's not really that much difference, I dare say. I mean, you can do only a certain amount of things in a day. I always tell people, compare yourself to who you were last year, because a lot can actually really happen, I dare say, in a year. And what I mean by that is, like, the reason why physical events such as like bodybuilding are so beneficial in terms of like personal growth is because if you look at the photos of what you had to when you had your first competition compared to the second competition, it's visible, and that's what people look at and they actually get a lot of sense of fulfillment out of. And as the further you go on, the more you stick to it, the more happiness you obtain from it. And because it's not, and then that comes to the second point, it's not about saying yes to more, it's actually about saying no. To stick to something, you have to say no to other things. That's what I say. And now that you've done it for, like, let's say 5 years, what would you say is like been physical or, you know, mentally wise when it comes to competing? What would you say was like the biggest improvement over those 5? Was it 5 competitions you said?
Yeah, I mean, I did my first one in 2000.
How old were you when you did your first one then?
2017. So I was 20. Oh gosh, what was that? 5 years ago? I was 22.
22. Okay.
Or I was 22. Yeah, 22. 22. And then I did my second one when I was almost 23 in America, and then came here. Did 3 in America, sorry, and then I came here.
Did you have a beard at the time?
Yeah. Yeah, the beard came in at what? End of high school, like fully connected.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, you were allowed to have beards in high school.
Yeah, I didn't go to a private school.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed. Like,
They
if you
did that?
No, yeah,
I
they
thought
did
it was
that.
just your clothes. Oh
No,
my God.
no, my high school was super strict. If I had this, I'd be told to go home and shave it. I mean, it's not even much. For the record, you can't have a camera on me, but it's literally bum fluff off the fucking my fucking
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and then
still
maybe. And then my hair now, but like you've seen me what it was like with long hair and all that. Yeah, that you would have got sent home for sure. Like your hair wasn't allowed to touch the collar, your hair wasn't allowed to fall below your eyebrows, your hair wasn't allowed to fall below your ears. Yeah, we had really, really strict hair rules. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, like you were saying, like you can see the differences. I mean, the biggest differences is just, I guess, size, because how much I weighed when I stepped on stage, you know, the first couple times, even this last time I competed, which was like, was it 2020? So it was almost 3 years ago. I was around 69 kilos on stage. Yeah, lean. Where, once again, I'm already knowing I'll be more than that, but any more than that, that's how you know you've improved, and that's muscle. You know what I mean?
When you were 69 kilos on stage, do you remember what your starting weight was before you started the prep?
Oh, yeah, probably like 78-ish, and now I'm like 82 and a half.
Oof. Nice. Yeah.
So
what are you aiming for this time on stage?
well, just
Like a
going by the
ballpark figure.
look, but I'd like to be more than the last time. That's the goal.
Yeah.
If I could be like, say, 75, that'd be amazing. It's a lot of muscle, 5 kilos.
Yeah. When you go into it though, is it weight categorized or?
No. Men's physique's just, it'll be more height for your overall classes. But if you do any of the other categories like novice, first timers, they'll just put you all together. ICN does that.
Oh, so is that the organization we're going with?
Yes, and we'll see. Maybe YNF as well. Kind of like Mark did. He did ICN, YNF, but nationals for ICN is that same day YNF has their show. So I'll have to decide, because if I, win and I get first and I go to nationals, then I won't be able to do YNF, but I would like to, because I like the way they have everything set up and their judging and all that type of stuff. The last few years have been real good, so not just because Mark won overall either. But
He did great. He did really well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, it's just good. And ICN this year is going to be, with the new president, it'll be good, and I'm excited. But main thing is, yeah, like I said, I may show up on the day and someone's going to be, just a bit better and win. And if that's the case, so be it. But if I'm better than I was before, that's what matters. Like you said, that growth. Everyone wants to win, you know what I mean? You'll have that moment of, I feel like I should have won, but then you realize, well, I did, because, I got better than I did the couple years before. I've competed another time, so that's another win. You know what I mean? So you just put it all into perspective and take, like you said, the growth from it. And kind of like you said, you look at how you were last year. You can do it with competing, or my situation in life last year with my career and life change and all that stuff. You know what I mean? If you see that you've made growth, then that's how you can kind of view if you're happier or how much more happiness you have. So, yeah.
With a sport like, bodybuilding and physique competing, it's incredibly grueling on the body, and one that's actually like a very yearly process. Like I was talking to Mark at the end of last year, and he was saying, what's the plans next year? You're going to go back again? He said, I don't think he said he wanted to and all that, because he said he wanted to take at least a year off and get better. And it was just like, the thing is with these guys, these bodybuilders and physique, so they feel like they have all the years like literally planned out as they go along, and they literally take a year off, like a full year off, just so they can get better. Like, I just question, like, for someone such as yourself, you do as well, but like, how do you like maintain that mindset of accepting the fact that, okay, I won't be able to do this thing for a year. We'll have to train for a year for it, because that's the kind of stuff that will make me go mad and all.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's just like we would say to some of our clients that are Gen Pop, you got to give it time. For Mark, myself, being natural, you have to give it time. If we were like, all right, let's jump on a couple cycles of this, and that, maybe I could try, you know, IFBB season B this year and see if, you know, how I'm looking. But he also wants to go from doing like a fitness sports model division to now doing classic. And we know, you know, that's a big jump in muscle mass. So, and he's doing really good in his off season. He's putting on good size and doing it. And if he does it right, then, you know, give it a good time.
Yeah. He's been following the 9 ancestral tenets.
I thought it was 7. No, I'm kidding. No, if he was, then he would be doing something this year for IFBB. But no, he's not. And that's the thing. Remember, he's, you know, he's young. He kind of, you know, works at the gym, but also has another job, and he keeps himself occupied, but outside of work with just training. And I don't know. He's definitely wired differently. It's not everyone's like that. Like I said, you know, he comes from that music background where you have to, it's a lot of repetition, practice, time probably. So it might have been easier for him. And, you know, I do sports as well, where it's a little different because, you know, you can train for something for a few months and be ready for it. Kind of like any off season, they have a few months training camp, all that. Or even like BJJ, between competitions, you have that time when you're training to get better, and then you can go, and even yourself, you've been kicking ass lately, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you can see you're getting better too.
Yeah. Well, the thing is for me, the most important thing is like, there's an abundance of opportunity in BJJ. I wouldn't say as much in bodybuilding, because how many organizations are there in Perth? There's ICN.
There's just 2 now. There's like just in general, how many?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's probably like 4.
Yeah.
There's like 2 IFBB ones, and then there's the 2 natural federations.
Yeah. And then there's only like a very handful of few competitions a year, but with BJJ, there's there's competitions nearly every month. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing for me. I mean, I've got one lined up, first one next Saturday, and then I got one lined up 2 weeks later, and then another one for that 3 weeks later, and I've already got the whole calendar booked for the year, which is awesome. Really happy for that. But it's not like that for bodybuilding. It's like, you know, you have to do a 12-week leading up to it, then you compete, and then that's it. You know, that could be the only thing for the year.
Well, in America, they have it all the dang time.
Exactly, because there's abundance of it in America.
Yeah, but I would also just say, like what I was saying, the difference is you need that time to build muscle, especially for, let's just say, the natural federations, right? If you love competing, I'm sure there's people mentally that just love dieting down to the bone, literally, as lean as you can be, and then competing, showing it off. Like, people love it, and I don't doubt it, and I don't judge anything like that. But if you want to do well and be the best, whether it's to win over in general or just be better yourself, you have to give it time to work on the things. You know what I mean? And some people, you don't need much to work on, and you only need that half a year to where you do season A, then you can do season B. But for some people, it's different. You know what I mean? Where for BJJ, maybe you lost your first couple and you realize the issue and you work on that technique for a couple months, and you're getting stronger because you always train, you know, strength-wise. And you know how to train strength conditioning-wise, which is more for sport, the conditioning aspect too. It shows when you start winning, you know what I mean? Where you go do bodybuilding and they say, oh, you need more size on your lat. Now, if it's only your posing, then you can just practice for the next few months and then do the next show, be a better poser, and then you can probably win. But if it's, oh, you need more size on your back and this and that, then you might need to, you know, give it time to build muscle, because we all know naturally it takes time to build muscle. So unless they say you just need to be more conditioned and leaned, then you can probably do the next show, but you have to diet probably a bit harder or figure out what you weren't doing, make those changes to come out in better condition. So, yeah.
Is there a specific body part that you've had to work on since the last competition then?
For me, it was just, I guess in general, kind of maybe just a little more size. Because, men's physique, chest isn't necessarily one of the features like classic or overall is. We do like a chest pose, but it's not as judged as much as your lat spread and your V taper for men's physique, right? So once again, I probably just a bit more width on my back maybe and a little more size all around, I would be good. So I just would say, didn't have enough size probably.
Okay, so what's like your typical training split then leading up to the competition right now?
Now I'm doing 5 days a week. So I'm just doing, it's pretty much like, chest, back, shoulders, do legs, then like a legs and arms type of day. So, are
you cycling out of legs any chance by getting closer to the competition? Because
when you get closer, when you get closer, I might keep a day in there. You know what I mean? You still do legs, you just won't do it maybe the last week or maybe 2. Some coaches do that for men's physique, but you keep it in there. You just don't, you don't have 2 days, or you don't make it anything difficult with like barbell work or anything like that. You just keep it high rep and really just to keep burning calories at that point to keep getting lean. So,
do you just plan on then just staying in that division, or do you have any plans to maybe experiment, go to classic or anything else like that? Or what was the other one you said you did, like fit? Was it sports model or?
That's what it was in YNF, but in ICN it's fitness division. Which is like...
How is that judged, by the way?
Yeah, look, you're supposed to have like an athletic sports look. So you're nice, lean, very conditioned, like a men's physique, but you're not as much muscle mass. You know what I mean? You look, but your legs are judged, whereas in men's physique it's not. So it's kind of like a smaller classic physique person, I would say, because they wear the shorts. But it's all kind of different. Some federations have different kind of criterias for posing, as well as their routines. You know what I mean? Like in America as well, they don't do like the side chest and stuff in men's physique.
They don't?
No. Okay. They just do quarter turns and things in those federations. Where out here, they'll do like side chest, things like that, and make it almost just like the same poses as classic physique. You just don't get your legs judged. So, yeah, it's weird, but yeah, all I'm worried about is what my division does. So
fair enough.
But we'll see how I look in a few weeks as well, and if I still have some wheels on me, maybe we'll do classic. But if not, I would have to give myself another period of time to just get a bit bigger, both upper body and lower body.
Because you've been competing for over 5 years now. I mean,
I haven't done one in a couple years.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I probably had a good year and a half.
Well, you had the pandemic as well. So.
Well, there was that, and then my stomach issues where I wasn't training and eating properly. So, definitely this last year I've been...
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I've always respected about it. Like, it's not one of those things that you can have inhibitors and, expect to do well. For me personally, you know who Gordon Ryan is? The BJJ pound for pound greatest grappler right now.
I don't know, actually.
Okay. The point I was trying to make, he used to compete on stomach issues, heavy stomach issues, and have to go on medication and calm down food. It's not like that's something you can do in competing. You know what I mean? Like if you get sick the day before, a couple of weeks leading up to, most people pull out of competition. But from some guys I've heard of, they get sick before a competition, or then they still show up on the day and still compete regardless. It's
if he can get it done in 5 seconds, then why not?
Yeah,
but that's the thing with pose. It's different, but just also what you can tolerate. You know what I mean? But let's say you're someone who has to build muscle and you have to eat a lot, but you can't because you're sick and stuff, then you're going to struggle. Whereas even if you're trying to do bodybuilding and you're sick and you can't hold food down, you won't recover better and probably won't be maintaining as much muscle. So
True.
yeah.
So the point I was going to also make it to was like, because you've been doing it for a while, if you could go back in time to when you first started, was there anything that you would have told yourself that would have helped out?
Like
Anything you would have gone back and told young 22 Vince?
Like just competing wise?
Competing wise, mindset wise, physicality wise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more disciplined. Like, obviously, when I was competing my first time, I follow everything still. I follow the plan. I'm strict and disciplined with it. But during that first part, like when you're still 20 or so weeks out and you're not supposed to eat certain things and you're eating it, or when I'm supposed to be eating enough to be putting on, but I'm not trying, you know what I mean? Because I'm full. I would do like I have been recently doing and just trying to force myself and like understand that's just how it is. But I don't know. Really, I don't know if there's much different. To be honest, there's always like I said, when it's outside of like that grind time, like 12 weeks out or so, time before that, if I were to put more effort in, maybe I would have had a bit more to show for. That's probably all I would say. But I don't know, mindset wise. When it comes to stress too, yeah, definitely would have had a different outlook on that.
Does the mindset change over the 12 weeks, though? Like, okay, it's 4 weeks, not going out, don't want to move much.
Well, yeah. And like I said, it just depends on the type of person you are. Like, I'm never, especially in the last, handful of years, not the type to go out and be a social butterfly. Like, I go out and I do, whether it's for work or I do catch up with other certain people, you know what I mean? Or even like yourself for a workout if it is, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. But it's not too hard in that sense. What's hard is just the fatigue. So it's like the things you have to do, work and all that, it becomes in your mind like, oh, you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So, but it's very dependent on the person. You just got to be disciplined, have a strong mindset. So, yeah, I don't think I would tell myself much different.
Are you planning on going for your pro card then at some point this year? Or no, you've been doing it for some time?
Well, yeah, look, like I said, if I do well in the state show and I'm like, oh, I'll go do nationals, then the goal is to win, But once again, like in this sport, you can be your best, but if someone's just better on the day and they beat you, there's not much you can do, right? Yeah. Or what the judges see. So it's not like a BJJ where if you are your best, you're like, and you're better than that person, it's going to show, right? I may have worked harder and did more stuff to get to where I was, where it may have been less of a struggle for the other person that beat me, but everyone's different. You know what I mean? So it's just how it is. But if I can get it, yeah, I'll probably go for it.
Fair enough.
And if I don't get it, then I'm sure one day I'll try again. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's not that it's not something that would be nice to do, and it's not like it's my first time competing and I'm like, oh, I want to get my pro card. Like, I've done this both in America and here, and I do it because I enjoy the competitive side it brings out, even if it's just with myself. But yeah, I definitely would say potential to go pro.
Good man.
Since I couldn't do it in American football.
Yeah. I know it's a bit of a strange thing, but you at least got as far as you could with the American football and all that. Like,
yeah,
I never really asked you that, but what point did you realize it was sort of time to pack it in? Because you said you did it for 20, was it how long?
Yeah, 20. I played 20 years.
20
including,
years.
like,
So
playing
you started with
out
what, you
here.
were like 7?
Yep.
Wow. What was that like playing when you were 7? Did you have a beer back
just
then?
Running around. No. But my ass was hairy still, like it is. But no, I was just like running around. I don't know. Learning to play and like, yeah, it was fun. I was always smaller too, but I was always tough and then all that. But yeah, it was fun back then.
And then
We all
didn't you
wanna
say you also went to university on a scholarship to play as well?
Yeah.
And what university did you say you went to?
I went to Menlo College, private university.
And then you were there for how many years?
3.5.
3.5. Yeah. What tier school was that?
It just depends. Like if you're looking from a sports standpoint,
Yes.
well, you have like your Division 1s, 2s, 3s, and then NAIA. But the NAIA could be equivalent to like a Division 2. You know what I mean? It just depends. But they're more of like individual. They don't have conferences in a sense. You know what I mean? So we would play teams that were Division 2, 3, 1 AA. It just depends. But in general, it's not like your teams you see playing on TV. Like the big colleges, like Stanford and stuff like that. So it's not like that, but yeah, still a university at the end of the day.
Nice. Nice. And then finally you came here and you were playing here. What was the biggest difference you found between playing gridiron in America and gridiron in Australia?
A lot. The athleticism, the just, games, referees, everything. Just a different level. Just like we just said with the divisions, like you could have guys that in my division could play Division 1 schools, right? Well, there's the level of competition. It was, it's probably equivalent to a high school in America football team, as bad as that sounds.
Oh, that's cool.
You know
That's
what I mean?
okay. That's not bad at all.
And
Yeah.
it's not that it hasn't been good, or when other teams out here have American imports, and there are good Australians that play. I just think out here in WA now it's not as big as when I first moved out here and played. So I think it's just kind of dwindling a bit.
I never really expected it to be big here.
It could though, but like, you know what I mean? Like it can. And I think it's bigger over on the East Coast right now, like the Gold Coast and Victoria, all that stuff. It's a bit bigger gridiron, but I mean, a lot of people watch it. You know what I mean? Like American football in college, and it's just getting people to play because it's just like any sport. If they don't start too young, it's hard to get someone involved as an adult, and most of these adults are working during the day and have family. You know what I mean? They're not. It's almost like you go to the rec center to play a pickup basketball game.
That's true. This is
But there's a bit more practice involved and stuff with the gridiron, and more organized. But it's that level of competition. Like I said, it's just it's a bit dangerous too because of how not understanding fully how to play. Sometimes people out here just go crazy, like I did when I was young. You just go and hit everything.
fair point. Other than your busted toes, did you ever suffer any injuries or anything like that?
I mean, nothing that kept me out like a whole year like that, no. I mean, I've had concussions before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've had I've had one for sure. Then I've had a couple where you kind of like shake it off like, oof. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But,
What was that like?
well,
Can you remember it?
the one where I like blacked out,
Oh, you blacked out.
that was the like one bad one. I was like running. I was actually playing quarterback high school. And I was looking to throw it to someone, but I wasn't looking at the person running at me this way. And then they hit me.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was for a bit. And then I came to it. It was like young high school, like 10th grade, probably like
10th grade. So you were only
15.
like 15. Yeah, 15, 16 at that time. Jesus.
And then the other ones, like there was probably one again later in high school, my senior year, but it was more like I hit someone and you just like shake it off type of thing. You just feel a bit like, woof, you know what I mean? Then one in college on turf, like turf field in freezing cold. It's so hard. I kind of hit the head off the turf a bit after making a tackle. And then that kind of gave me a little like fuzzy feeling and like shook it off. So a couple of those.
Wow.
And I've had like a couple broken fingers, but it doesn't keep you out. And
Broken fingers, like which fingers?
like my pinky one I've broken.
Jesus.
This one. Broken the tip of this one.
Jesus.
My toes, obviously. I've had like a tear in my intercostal parts of my ribs. So like slight strains and tears.
Fuck, that must have been hard to breathe then. Yeah.
I missed probably, what was it, like one game in college for that, and then I had to play with like a rib protector too. It was awkward, but yeah, it was hard to breathe.
Wow.
And then one day it was just like easier. Just felt easier. So, but besides that, like those are really the only things. And now I just get those old people things like my back or my hips tight, my calf.
Truly like an insane amount of stress on the body. Know that.
Oh, those, yeah, from gridiron. Yeah, that's the thing. Like my body, and that's the thing. Like bodybuilding too. Like some people only bodybuild, and if they only bodybuild, then they're, they've probably had injuries, but not to the extent where like, I've had so many nicks and pains from 20 years that trying to lift heavy or something will cause tightness or, inflammation, where for some people it won't be as bad or the recovery isn't as bad.
Wow. So what point did you realize then, it's time to pack it in? Was it just over time or?
Yeah, just like I said, because before I finished playing out here, it was because I love playing. You know what I mean? I love the sport, but I wasn't training for it. Like I said, I'm not athletic anymore because I was only training like a bodybuilder even then. And that's why even if you play it, even though it is a competitive league in a sense, right? It's a league out here, so there is competition, but it's not like it's like a high level like footy or basketball team out here like they have. So I wasn't training for it, and that's why I would always be nicked and have injuries. Or actually, you were there, right? When I had like hurt my ankle before and stuff. So it was time. And I think I probably had a couple little like, moments with the head again. And
when you had your last game and then when you finally were done with it, what did it feel like?
Well, I kind of knew it was the last one. And I don't think I won. We played in the finals, and I think we lost, yeah. But, yeah. It was that point where you don't want to, but after saying it, you feel good that you're done. If that makes sense?
It does.
Like you feel and like, yeah, okay, it's good, it's done. Even though part of you like, oh, I think I still can. But it's not like I stopped and was like, oh no, I have to play this, you know what I mean? So, and that's why I think what I do for a living too, to help other people be better, along with trying to better myself, keeps me, always missing the sport, but understanding like my health and future is more important than continuing to play. And I don't know what happens if I hit my head again really bad, or in that sport, you never know, as we were talking about before. So, it's not worth it to always be injured. And then how am I supposed to help people when I'm in my profession?
Well, the thing is, I say is like, when it comes to, business and working as a PT, it's not really that too much different to being dedicated to anything else, that especially even sports. you know. I've always found in PT, like, as long as you're taking care of yourself, you can pretty much do pretty well in a business in terms of in terms of a PT career. But if you're not taking care of yourself, then how can you expect to give advice to take care of if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you expect to give people advice and how they can do the same for them?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Or you mean, look, at the end of the day, you're different from everyone, but you have to help, just like you would help find your ways around the problems you have on staying consistent towards your goals or whatever it may be, health, fitness wise. You have to be able to help those people. That's why it's always funny if I, you know, regardless if it's like I've had trained someone who was doing coaching, right? Like was becoming a coach. And then they try to say, oh, I'm just not as committed to put effort into it and this and that. And, you know, and then my little thing is just, you can't expect your clients to do what you can't do. Mm-hmm. If you can't find the effort to put into it and have a coach, like I was their coach, and to check in and to communicate and to do all those things that you weren't doing, you can't expect your clients to do that if you can't do that.
Yeah.
So, and granted, they were about to get their qualification, but it's that thing where, just like you said at the beginning, when you start, it's time. You got to give it time, and you got to do the work to get there, regardless if it's business or a fitness goal or whatever.
Yeah, it's when people say, oh, 90% of life is showing up. I'm like, well, yes, showing up is a part of it, but then you actually have to do the work, because just showing up alone doesn't get you anywhere.
It doesn't give you 90%.
Yeah.
Just means you're there 90%.
Yeah, correct.
The other 10 isn't.
And you have to at least give it some effort, or if not, all your effort.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're just leading up to the last couple of minutes, man. Just before we wrap this up, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. If you want to follow Vince on Instagram, you can. Just drop the handle.
Yes, the handle. Boo, let me look, because I changed it.
I was said that. Reach for his phone.
All right. Coach _ Vince Villicano.
Cool.
So Coach _ Vince Villicano is my last name, and you'll find me.
Yeah. And how can they apply for coaching? Is there a link in it?
Yeah, there's a Linktree link that I should probably check more often. You could also just send me a direct message. But yeah, really, I don't have much in-person slots. I do, but I don't. Mm-hmm. Just depends what people can do, but mainly for the online coaching, or I am wanting to get into more of prepping, bodybuilding competitors. I have Mark, and then I have Liana, so I have two, a male and a female. So, yeah, would like to get more of those type of clientele as well. But
cool.
Anyone, obviously, I can help anyone. Yeah,
fair enough. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Vince, thank you very much for joining me as well, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll be back, hopefully. I mean, if we see how well this does, it's kind of like I said, maybe there's I mean, I have some time now, and I can find some time to be a co-host or, something like that. We could figure it out. Look, we could figure it out. You know what I mean?
Or we're just saying spitball, and we'd have like a segment, like I have the Saturday sessions with the boys.
Okay.
That's like another co-segment of it. Okay. You pick up a name right now. You got 2 minutes. Think of a name.
Thirsty Thursdays, and it's just me and you with no shirt on filming the podcast. And people can be. I don't know. You gave me 2 minutes. What am I? I don't know. New news. I'm kidding.
News. American and
new news.
And the.
Yeah. We can give news around the world. New news.
All right.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
All good.
I'll be back.
This is one of many, my friend. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe. We're going to be moving into the new studio, aka my new place, and then I'm going to be promising you guys I'm going to be dropping a whole load of new episodes, of course, featuring Vince as well. Guys, so the next thing is, of course, yes, there are still spots to become a Patreon. All you have to do is just follow the link in the description. And guys, a big thank you to my Patreon so far. I cannot thank you guys enough, and I promise you this year and all the years is going to be dedicating to me bringing the best content I can. And of course, guys, to all my listeners, I promise you 2023 is going to be the best year for content so far. Thank you very much for listening, guys, and that is game.